And so Psalm 127, 3-5. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior, so are the children of one's youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but shall speak in their enemies, speak with the enemies in the gate. And I just picture like each of our kids being like these arrows that we're sharpening and we're growing, and that God is, He's the one that is growing that seed and growing from the inside out with our kids. And our job is to, keep teaching them and pointing them to Christ. And to sharpen them, and then we send them out so that they can, cut the head of the snakes. And Proverbs 17:6, children's children are the crown to the aged, and parents are the pride of their children. And so just even that, having grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and just the beauty, because our society today wants to say like, oh, only have 1 to 2 children because they're an inconvenience and they cost money, and you can't have kids unless you do this, and this first. But that's not what God says. He says that they're a reward, and that children's children are a crown of the age, and that we're to take care of the orphans, that we are to take care of, the widows, and how God makes it like this purposeful, beautiful thing, and that we can look around us and say like, which kid can I pour into today of like, whether it's at work or whether it's at church, that God has a purpose for us to parent our own kids, but also those around us. And so the second half of that verse is be anxious, so we already read the first part of like, that surpasses all understanding. And then verse 8, so how do we keep that focus? So if I've had a rough day or I'm going through something hard, I try to reread this to like, recenter me, get my posture right with the Lord. Verse 8, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. So at night when I'm worried about my son who has been lying to us, I can sit there and I can say, okay, what is true? Well, he did confess when he did this today. Or what is just? Well, my daughter got really mad because she said that she only got 2 chips versus 3 like her sister. She is pursuing justice. She is seeing this is unfair. And so how can I teach her in that moment? What skill is she missing? That I can teach her so that she isn't screaming and yelling over 2 pieces of chips. And so things like that. And so what are the skills that they're missing or that they don't have yet, so that I can teach my kids so that they too can talk, of just and true and noble and pure things. So yeah, I think we're almost done here. So questions or even just sharing? Opportunity, like sharing maybe some tips of motherhood.
Are there ways of like mothers encouraging their adult children and their parenting?
Oh,
that
yeah.
isn't offensive,
Yeah.
Like I give my daughter ideas and she's like, yeah, bad idea. But then a couple weeks later she'll come around,
Yeah, they come around.
How do you do it without
I
being a
feel
mother?
for me, and other people can tell me too, for me, like my mother-in-law, she was an EBD teacher, and she's really smart, and she's nice, she's so nice. And so she'll say, she's like, tell me if I'm overstepping, but I just wanted, what if you guys tried where the kids would practice? So like if one kid goes and they're like, that's my toy, and they rip it from them, she'll say, oh, we're practicing, come here. And so then she'll go up to them, she'll say, okay, she'll put the toy back in Aaliyah's hand, and then she'll say, Megan, now let's practice doing it nicely. And so, at first I was like, yeah, it is kind of that, like, if you get any advice, you're like, you're saying I'm a bad mother. But so the way she words it is just, hey, what, you can let me know if I'm overstepping and take it however you want, but what if you tried this in this situation? Yeah. And then she, and then like there was one time where she watched this video of news where like the dresser fell down, on the kid, and so she calls me and she's like, you guys need to put anchors on all your stuff. And so I did, and then I built this shelf, and as I was like turning, like a shoe shelf, and so I'm like, my son's with me, my 2-year-old, he was like 1.5 at the time, I turned around and I was like, oh, I better get those anchors, you know, and I was thinking of how she like told me like kids can fall. All of a sudden I looked, he had pulled it down and it fell on him. It fell on him. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I like lifted it up and I was like, she's gonna kill me. And so I called her, I was like, I'm going to the ER with Sam, and this thing fell on him. I was like, but I was turning around to get the anchor. So just stuff like that. Anybody else have tips for that? For how to receive advice or give advice that's worked?
Be there for somebody.
Be there for them? Yeah. Supporting them, encouraging moms. Hey, I see you're working hard. Is there anything I can do to help lighten your load? Maybe that might be a good way too. Just like, how can I, you know, is there anything I can do to help lighten your plate? Because I see how hard you're working. Then it's more of like a carrying than just like, what are you doing with that kid? But, so,